Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Thomas. Tonight we're back here with the Green Scorpion for another Weapons Month. Tonight, well, I'll keep antidotes on standby because we got the top 10 video game poison wielders. Yeah, these guys pretty much deal damage over time, and if you're not careful, you could be in for a gruesome death, especially depending on the poison. Ooh, like I say is I wish you luck. Anywho, so be sure to like, subscribe for more. Hope you enjoy. Let me know your favorite poison wielder. Recognize any of them? Let's go. I'm trying to think if there's any I can think of right now. There we go. Venom, Medusa, wherever you are. Scarecrow, Medusa.
Hello everyone, the Green Scorpion here, and welcome to Week 3 of Weapons Month 3. In Weapons Months past, we examined weapons of all shapes and sizes, but what if the weapon in question is shapeless? We thought a little out of the box this year, and came up with a weapon that you can't keep in a satchel or a sheath. Poison. And what a vicious weapon it is. Whether they make you sick, put you to sleep, give you hallucinations, or just outright kill you, poisons have been a tool of warfare for millennia. Heck, it predates humankind entirely. Venomous animals and plants use this for self-preservation long before we figured out we wanted to kill each other. There are many types of poisons as well, so let's consult the old dictionary for a real starting point.
Shall we?
A poison is any substance, natural or unnatural, that has a negative effect on the living organism when ingested or absorbed. It's a very practical destroyer, and can be much cleaner than blunt trauma if you want it to be. Such an artful chemist is a very particular sort. One either cunning enough to devise a plan, or too cowardly to fight an opponent head-on. We'll be focusing on the former, however. As evil as it is to see Dahlia Hawthorne take several victims' lives by convincing them to drink cyanide, I'm more impressed by an assailant who can hold their own in a fight while their poison takes effect. I also want to point out the fine line between a poison and an acid. Both tend to be chemical reactions, but acids just burn people away. And if you know your high school chemistry, you'll know that acidity and toxicity are two completely different things, which aren't mutually exclusive.
Remember, no venom.
So now put on your gas masks and keep an antidote nearby. It's time for the top 10 poison wielders in video games.
Well, I'm keeping this on for now. First up, number 10.
Tell me where it hurts.
I'm not messing around this week.
Oh.
We're starting off with the galaxy-threatening force that is Metroid Prime, also known as Dark Samus.
Oh, hi.
Unless you were paying attention, you might not realize that these two entities were the same. But let me give you a quick correspondence course. The Metroid Prime trilogy all circles around Samus' struggle to rid the world of Phazon, a deadly substance that is created by a monster called Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime is the result of Chozo science gone too far. After their civilization has fallen apart, Samus comes to Talon 4 to zap the bug. At one point, Samus dons a new suit which runs on Phazon, and after the beast is defeated, it desperately absorbs the suit in an attempt to sustain itself.
Yeah.
The intake of this Phazon, mixed with Samus' DNA, allows Metroid Prime to take the form of a more mobile, more intelligent Dark Samus, which travels the galaxy spreading the corruption of Phazon. Now, Phazon is a total applied phlebotinum. Like nuclear energy or a sonic screwdriver, it can really do anything the plot needs it to do when under the right conditions. It burns to the touch, it poisons the waters of the Chozo ruins, it's radioactive, it proves to be a great power source, the Federation is able to use it as both a weapons ammunition and a drug for the soldiers, it has the corrupting effects on the mind of the user, it often turns them evil, and its extra-dimensional chemical properties even split the planet of Aether into two parallel light and dark worlds.
Yikes.
I rank this doppelganger so low mainly because Phazon is almost more a radiation than a poison.
Yeah.
Well, in the data logs, the Chozo refer to it as the poison. While Metroid Prime just oozed the light blue plutonium and let it leak through the cracks in the planet, Dark Samus powers her suit with it, and in Metroid Prime 3, she really starts using it more, medicinally. Given the chance to kill Samus and all of her allies, she instead uses the Phazon to corrupt them. sending waves at them that infuse their very DNA with the stuff. This gives them all incredible power and an augmented hyper mode, but it also turns them evil. Rundis, Gore, and Gendrada all go mad with power, just as Dark Samus planned, and even Miss Aaron spends the entire game trying to keep her balance in check, for fear of becoming corrupted herself. Dark Samus's final gambit is to corrupt the Aurora unit and essentially infect/hack the entire Federation, all while using the power source to blast through all opposition and cannonball about. I know it's a little out there, but this former Metroid is a walking canister of one of the most deadly chemicals in the universe, and I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah, no kidding, considering it was called the Galactic Poison. Whew. Number 9 coming up.
Tell me where it hurts.
Deep in the cavernous pits of the forest navel, a creature stirs. Beyond pillars of flame, past the dim glow of the fireflies off in the brackish waters, dwells a monster so fearsome that only one desperate, stranded astronaut even dares approach its domain. It is the muffin-topped killer, Aspergilla Padronis, the dreaded Puffstool.
Oh, this thing.
I was actually considering listing the white Pikmin for this countdown, who are not only poisonous but can also resist all other toxins. But Pikmin really are only useful under the command of a charismatic leader, and the white Pikmin's means of poisoning an enemy is by being eaten, so by the time they use it they're already dead. Instead, I look to the Puffstool from the first Pikmin game. This fearsome fungus is actually pretty derpy looking, and if you know what you're doing, it's pretty easy to kill without any Pikmin casualties. But if you're like me and played this game when you were 11 without any guidebook, you were in for a terrible surprise. When that mushroom starts quivering, back up. It releases a cloud of spores that immediately infect all nearby Pikmin. These spores overtake your heroic Lilliputians and turn them into mushroom Pikmin, soulless drones that then turn against you.
Jeez.
And guys, I never liked losing Pikmin. Those guys were like family to me, and watching them stab me in the back was traumatic enough to make me steer clear of that cave for many years to come.
Jeez.
I mean, really, this boss is a pushover, and though it towers over Olimar, it's really only the size of a Pomeranian. Fun fact, these guys actually appear in The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap as well, and Link can cut through them pretty easily. When you boil it down like that, this thing's not really that much of a threat. But put yourself in Olimar's situation and you'll learn to dread this thing.
Yeah, goes to show you, careful, because it might look innocent, just like poison. It will kill you when you least expect it. Next.
I hope at this point I don't have to worry about spoiling Portal for people.
Wait,
and if you haven't played the game, you probably already know what happens. GLaDOS betrays you. Once you're done with her test, she tries to incinerate you. At first you think she does this to all test subjects that aren't needed, and it's the scientists doing this. But in time you learn that GLaDOS is so evil she's already killed the entire staff of Aperture Labs. How? By pumping neurotoxins into the ventilation. That's just cold. Guys, there are poisons out there that can peacefully euthanize you in your sleep, so that you don't even know that you're being poisoned. Nerve gas is not like that. It is a gruesome way to die. Being a computer is pretty handy if you decide to make a sport of toxicology, since you never have to worry about accidentally poisoning yourself. In a last-ditch effort to save themselves, the scientists employed this.
Good news. I figured out what that thing you just incinerated did. It was a morality core they installed after I flooded the enrichment center with a deadly neurotoxin to stop flooding the enrichment center with a deadly neurotoxin.
That's using the word morality generously. She was still a sadistic sociopath throughout the adventure, but as soon as you destroy the morality core, she immediately goes back to trying to fry your nervous system. This is obviously a choice on GLaDOS' part. We know from Portal and Portal 2 that she has access to tons of other potentially lethal devices. Crushers, acids, lasers, and robotic minions, just to name a few. But I think she revels in killing humans in a way only they are weak to. Something they have to breathe. The boss fight with GLaDOS is hardly a fight at all. It's really more of a time puzzle. GLaDOS is warming up the pumps and, unlike the boss in the sequel, isn't actively trying to kill you. Just watching you panic until you get gassed and jitter in agony like corn on a cob in a microwave. Okay, that's not entirely true. There is one lethargic missile launcher she employs, but that's really less her way of disposing of you and more her sick way of offering you to surrender in a less agonizing way.
If you want my advice, you should just lie down in front of a rocket. Trust me.
Yeah, GLaDOS, for
Yeah,
someone
screw
without
you.
any kind of biology, you're pretty sick.
Mm-hmm. I mean, again, they had to install a morality core. Which, shouldn't that be like a, I don't know, principality core or something? You know, something that makes sure she, like, knows what's wrong, what's right, and all that. I don't think that's morality. Like, maybe you should have figured out, okay, what's making her go crazy and all, and then remove that, not add it to the crazy. Whoopsie. Oh boy. Anyway, moving along. Next up, number 7.
Tell me where it hurts.
Chloe Walsh is likely the most
hey,
disappointing
Chloe.
boss fight in No More Heroes 2, and certainly the easiest, which is odd given the build-up. She is ranked as the world's 23rd best assassin in the world, so ruthless that she was incarcerated in a maximum security prison that was then abandoned. In order to best her, Travis first has to free her, and she has this kind of Pamela Isley thing going on. It also took me a while to figure out if Chloe was poisonous or just spat acid. While it is highly corrosive, her bile and shockwaves also inflict a momentary delirium on Travis. So I think we can call this one a poison. If Travis fails in a struggle against her, she'll deliver her signature kiss of death, which deals quite a bit of damage, but it's easy to outmuscle her, and ultimately she's a pushover. So what if I told you that Chloe Walsh's boss battle is actually brilliant?
Huh?
This is from Suda51 after all, a developer who walks on the fine line between good, bad, and self-aware. Travis himself often represents just the kind of man-children that Suda despises, albeit one who's complex and dynamic in his own ways. Travis is an audience insert, a worst representation of the game's target demographic, often immature young men. So imagine, if you need to, that you're one such a juvenile. You're fighting this really easy boss, and you're kind of intrigued. Not because the fight is well designed, but because, well, you notice things. Then you get locked in this struggle where she's obviously trying to snog Travis with clearly lethal poison, and because you're kind of curious, at least once, you just maybe accidentally don't win the struggle. Now, I'm not trying to call anyone out here. If this happened to you, it's only natural. Suda51 planned it this way. Chloe Walsh is a typical exploitation film villain, with attacks that punish you for ogling over her. It doesn't punish your skill. It punishes your curiosity. Yeah, we all agree this fight is easy, but I bet Chloe's taken a lot of victims regardless. Suda, you villainous mastermind, you've got us again.
To each their own. Especially if you're already a degenerate to allow that to happen. That'd probably start people like, okay, I gotta get my horniness down under control.
I've mentioned Castle Crashers quite a few times by now, and for good reason. It's one of the best modern beat-em-ups available. Part of this is its replay value, which comes from memorable levels and a ton of different characters to play as. All of the characters play kind of similarly, mind you, differing most drastically from their form of magic. The Blue Knight uses ice magic, the Orange Knight commands fire, the Red Knight shoots Sith lightning, and the Green Knight, most creatively, is based around poisonous gas. His controls may be the same and his melee damage may be nerfed, but some qualities of Old Verde stand out from the pack. Firstly, I like these little backflips he does during his sword combo. Not everyone does that. Next, look at his portrait next to the health bar. That glowering visage that just says, I don't mind watching you die slowly, the princess can wait a few minutes. He also manipulates that Fozinge fog in a plethora of ways. Explosions of poison, high-ranged bolts of poison, the poison jump that looks way too much like the Wario Waft, and my favorite, the airborne attack, which if done well, lets you air juggle yourself. I know all of the Crashers have variations on these same spells, but you just don't see poison magic used like this very often. I've also heard that for those who play this game on intense difficulty, green is the worst out of the main 4 to use. Really? But hey, tiers are for people who are overly concerned with their tier lists. I like it. Next.
Fair enough. Again, I don't think most people would actually go that far, you know?
Tell me where it hurts.
You thought puff stools were bad? They don't hold a toxic candle to the Malboros. These Thousand-Eyed monstrosities have been terrorizing Final Fantasy players since the second installment.
Jesus Christ.
They come in many variations, but they all have the signature attack Bad Breath. The Malboro's halitosis hits the entire party, inflicting multiple status effects. If that doesn't sound annoying, you clearly haven't played much Final Fantasy. For example, the great Malboros from Final Fantasy X, who like to ambush the party and instantly hack all over the team, inflicting silence, blind,
you better move fast,
confusion, and berserk. All at once.
Yeah.
So turn 1, he breeds, and you watch in horror as your whole team starts spinning around and swinging at each other like idiots. You can try to cast a Suna and use the correct items, but if your white mage hits hit, then you're going to be standing there for a while.
Yep.
Annoying doesn't even begin to describe it. Other Malboros throughout the series have been able to put heroes to sleep, turn them into frogs, petrify them, stop them in time, make them into zombies, or outright kill them, all with their poisonous breath.
Yeah.
It's no wonder the Malboros are feared throughout the series. Oh, and one other thing. When Final Fantasy VI was out on the Super Nintendo, its name was translated as...
Wait, Mad Oscar?
Squaresoft, why do you gotta make this personal?
Ouch. Next.
Tell me
Where's this going next?
Every boss in the Metal Gear Solid series comes with a rap sheet of weird quirks, and the Fear from Metal Gear Solid 3 is no exception.
Oh, the snake tongue.
Oh god, is he no exception. Since a young age, he was obsessed with the concept of fear. He underwent surgery to get double joints in both elbows so that he could crab walk up trees. He sports a prototype cloaking suit that uses him as a battery, so at times he gets so famished that he leaps on wild animals and eats them like a frenzied jaguar. His eyes are yellow, and his freaking tongue is forked. Dude, what are you doing with your life? Actually, he's an elite member of the Cobra unit, who is using Shagohod and some well-placed rumors to heat up the Cold War. But let's talk about his collection. The Fear's favorite way of passing the time is to collect poison samples from all of the world's most venomous creatures. In the field, he fights with 2 hand crossbows and fires bolts that are tipped with the excretions of various snakes, scorpions, pufferfish, anything really. His personal favorite is the Brazilian wandering spider. I was curious, so I did some research on this little bug. According to the Guinness Book of World Records, this is the most venomous spider on the planet.
Really?
Its toxins, even at small concentrations, cause loss of muscle control and breathing problems, and without a swift antidote, the victim will usually die of asphyxiation.
Ooh.
Male victims also notice some curious symptoms down south, but that's another story. My question is, how did this guy from Russia get a mega deadly arachnid from Brazil? It's 1963, he didn't order it on Amazon. Not that Amazon like the river, that's where they're indigenous, damn it. Besides his implementation of poison, the Fear's other qualities just synergize with his chosen weapon, really. He's stealthy, freakishly maneuverable, and he's good at picking out his targets with those reptilian eyes of his. He also likes using white phosphorus grenade arrows, and jumping around branches waiting for his perfect shot. The fact that the game requires you to address your wounds specifically makes the Fear one of the more diabolical boss designs. By the time you've found a safe place to suck the poison out of your veins, he's already located you again and is ready with another barrage of arrows. He has a very unique set of skills, and for that, the Fear gets the 4th.
Ooh. Who decides to kamikaze with some poison-tipped arrow bombs? Thanks. Well, that's a hardcore way to go. Just blow yourself up and launch a ton of arrows at the enemy. Oy. Still, yeah. I mean, this really goes to show you're really obsessed, just wanting to wander around the world, trying to find like the most deadliest creatures you can get. All right, almost done. 3 left. Let's see who takes the top spot.
Tell me where it hurts.
Shall we?
Sasha from Infamous is kind of like Chloe Walsh if she were actually imposing. She's a conduit, which is the universe's term for metahuman or superpowered person.
Basically,
Her power is basically that she produces this strange substance called black tar. She's a secondary villain, had a relationship with the game's main antagonist, Kessler, and is just all around... Jeez. Let's start with her appearance. Shaved head, battle scars, and completely naked aside from the jacket and some sludge. Yikes. Her appearance is pretty unsettling, but that doesn't stop her from getting all the guys. And the gals, and children. You see, among other things, Black Tar has mind control powers. Sasha commands a battalion of brainwashed gibbons called the Reapers, and they go so far as to pour their poison into the city's water supply.
Damn.
But aside from her maniacal plan, she is a formidable threat even without her subjects. She prefers to bring the fight to the underground, where the Black Tar fills the canals and she can take full advantage of its effects. It immediately can take over any non-conduit, and even the superpowered gentleman like Cole can't resist its effects for long.
Yeah.
So while Cole tries to keep his footing on the dry platforms, Sasha can move freely around and splash the liquid hypnosis his way. She has a few other interesting powers. She can manipulate black tar like some kind of twisted waterbender. She can also teleport through the poison, and while she's in it, she can get these weird energy blast powers. Even if you don't touch or ingest the black bile, just the fumes are known to cause hallucinations, and more exposure will progressively scrape at the victim's mind until they are reduced to a mindless slave. And that's not even mentioning the tongue. What is it with this list and weird tongues?
Again, snakes, what do you expect? Poison wielders, I guess, but yeah, I don't even know why multi-tongues. I mean, I did mention, like, the, like,
Another list, another League of Legends champion.
Why am I not
This week I have a few options. On one hand, there's Cassiopeia, who uses poisonous magic in conjunction with spells that do extra damage to poison foes. Then there's Teemo, who combines poison darts and exploding mushroom landmines. And of course, there's always Twitch, the Plague Rat. But I decided to go with Singed.
Really?
Ladies and gentlemen, normally when I list a league champion, it's because I really like them. Singed is on this list because he is the bane of my PvP existence.
Really?
Yeah, let's get the story stuff out of the way. He's called the Mad Chemist, and he is one of the most ruthless men in Zaun. He was the apprentice of another chemist, Warwick, and together they often helped Zaun's ally, Noxus, in their military endeavors by providing poisons and even hitting the warfields themselves. During the Noxian-Ionian War, these two killed thousands of innocents by introducing vile chemicals into the environment. Meanwhile, Warwick was experimenting with some serums and accidentally inflicted himself with lycanthropy. As a werewolf, he was no longer able to fulfill his duties, and Singed took his old friend's job. The two still represent Zaun in the league and still maintain a shaky friendship. Singed is supposedly trying to help Warwick perfect a concoction to stabilize his lycanthropy, but you have to wonder if Singed really wants his old mentor to get better. He's ruthless, conniving, and on the fields of justice, he's an annoying son of a... First of all, Singed is incredibly tanky due to his daily intake of his own invented medicines. His main physical weapon is that tower shield, but Singed won't get far just by auto-attacking. Instead, his main source of damage is his signature poison trail. Singed uncorks that big beaker on his back, and a trail of gas seeps out everywhere he walks, dissipating after a few seconds. Enemies who walk through these walls of fog are damaged over time, taking more damage based on the chemist's ability power. If Singed runs by someone, they get damaged. If you try to chase Singed, you get damaged.
Yeah.
That's right, Singed doesn't attack. His main strategy is just variations of running around, and it's so irritating. He also has a move called Fling, which lets him throw an enemy over his shoulder, usually into a cloud of poison. His mega adhesive covers the ground in a sticky pitch, which means they can spend more time standing in the poison. His ultimate is his prized invention, Insanity Potion. When guzzled, Singed boosts his own speed, health regeneration, mana regeneration, and ability power, meaning you get more damage from his poison. And so many of his moves involve running faster or inhibiting his opponent's movement. With his passive giving him extra health based on his maximum mana and the health regeneration he gets from his ultimate, Singed can take the brunt of enemy attacks while leisurely strolling around the lane choking everyone with his putrid smoke. And he never dies. He never freaking dies! There's a phenomenon known by the fans as global taunt. Sometimes it will look like Singed is pretty low on health, he's all alone, and if you can get just a few hits on him, you'll be able to end his reign of terror. So against your better judgment, you chase Singed. People, if you listen to nothing else I've ever said about League, listen to this.
Don't do it.
Do not chase Singed. You'll be running through miles of poison gas, he'll be popping Ghost or using his ultimate to get faster, and what you thought would be the killing blow will just glance off of him as he heals it all back. Then, just as you realize you should probably leave, he'll throw mega adhesive back at you, U-turn, fling you behind him, and laugh at you until you're dead. And if he's in the mood, he'll proceed to do the dance from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air all over your pale carcass. Thankfully, Riot took note of this, and since then he's been kinda nerfed into the ground, much to my friend Comic Foil's disappointment. But those truly devoted to this Zaunite pest still know how to steamroll, and every once in a while I'll be in a match against Singed and get killed all over again. You think you won't fall for it, you think you'll ignore him, but you won't. You'll forget and you'll die.
How about a drink?
No, Singed, I don't want a drink.
Yeah, you better hope you got a friend with you, otherwise you're screwed. And number one?
A lot of the previous poisoners on this list either give me the creeps or give me migraines. But
Or
number one
nightmares.
brings a certain honor to this generally backhanded practice.
Huh?
From the Pokemon series, there is one definitive master of poison types. The gym leader, Koga.
Oh, the ninja. Okay. Really?
I tend to think the writers put a little more thought into Koga than most gym leaders.
Yeah.
He's got a lot going for
Ninjas
him.
do
In red,
use a lot of
blue, yellow,
poison.
fire red, and
Poison,
leaf
sorry.
green, Koga serves as the leader of the Fuchsia City Gym, making him likely the 5th or 6th gym leader the player faces. Through the dialogue of other characters or use of the fame checker, you can learn a bit more about him.
It's a
There's the
fame checker?
obvious, that he's a freaking ninja. A lot of people speculate that Lieutenant Surge served in some kind of Pokemon war and wonder what that would have been like.
Oh yeah, the
What
whole
if
doc
Koga
tags
was
and all.
there too, sneaking into enemy camps and slipping lethal doses of Arbok serum into the enemy leaders?
Wouldn't be
One can
surprised.
only wonder. When not taking on challengers, he runs a ninjutsu school, having collected an odd assortment of jugglers and psychics under his tutelage.
I think
He
it's like
also
the-
roams a
oh,
safari
yeah.
zone, keeping an eye out for trainers who have lost their way or have gotten injured. He's pretty cool, but the coolest thing is that he's achieved more than most gym leaders in the entire series.
Oh,
In
yeah.
Gold, Silver, Crystal, Heart Gold, and Soul Silver,
Oh,
you
yeah,
can
the
find that
Elite
he's
Four.
climbed the ranks of the Pokemon League and is now a member of the Elite Four, leaving his gym in the care of his daughter, Janine.
Yeah.
Along with Wallace and Iris, Koga is one of the only gym leaders in the series that we have ever seen get promoted. Let's take a look at what puts Koga on this list. His Pokemon.
Shall we?
Poison is one of the 18
Let's
Pokemon
see.
types, but
Weezing,
Koga is
Golbat.
far and away the most proficient specialist we've seen yet. Most
Really?
poison type moves inflict the poison status, which deals damage each turn to the afflicted. It's not as debilitating
Or
as sleep or
poison point if you
paralysis, but
find
with
it.
moves like Toxic, it is possible to stall your opponent while letting them succumb to their own illness. In the original games, Koga favors the more industrial-themed poison types.
I
Coughing
can-
and wheezing make a
There?
lot of sense for a ninja, what with the whole smokescreen thing, and his muck is great at a delay tactic with moves like Disable and Minimize. Pokemon Yellow took Koga's anime appearance as inspiration and changed his team up to include his famous Venomoth. As an Elite Four member, we see Koga employ more of the Venom in nature poison types, including Ariados and Crobat. And can we talk about Crobat for a second? Crobat is amazing, especially considering what it evolves from.
Oh yeah,
He keeps
to
his
go back
Venomoth
from the
and his time-wasting
you know.
muck around, and also adds in Fortress. Fortress isn't a poison type, but he has a dreaded Toxic Spikes explosion combo.
Yeah, see?
And for many gamers, this was the first time they saw this much sought-after steel type. In Heart Gold and Soul Silver, there's a rematch with him, where he pulls in
Look,
Pokemon from
Skuntank.
other regions. The exploding Skuntank with Aftermath, so that he can really kamikaze you, Swalot, who's just as bulky as Muck but with the move Pain Split, and Toxicroak for getting through his counters of Steel and Rock types.
Yeah.
Unlike most gym leaders and Elite Four members, Koga has never really had that one Pokemon that defined him, like Brock's Onix or Whitney's Miltank. He
Makes
finds the
sense.
diversity of this one type and
Always
keeps
gotta
them
have those
like a
Pokemon
wide
on
array
hand.
of tools, while still maintaining their dignity and holding a respect for his opponents. He's also so elusive that somehow he avoided the Pokemon World Tournament. Trainer AI has never done justice to these characters, and with a good Psychic type you'll likely blast through him. But this ninja teacher still represents everything we want in a Poison Master. I am the Green Scorpion, and we're in Generation 6. Why isn't there a Poison-type legendary yet? Come on, Game Freak, you amazing company. Toxic Plate Arceus doesn't count.
Don't worry, there
I'll
is.
see you guys next time.
Okay. Well, luckily for Oscar, there is, Xerneas. I think. Any poison dragon? It just chicken reminder. Pretty sure poison dragon. I could be wrong. Anywho, we're done with this list. So next week, I think we got painters, if I remember correctly. So then, thanks for watching, everybody. See ya.